My name's Derrick, Flitcroft, and I'm from Morristown, New Jersey.
Okay, now I understand you're in the show called Night Fights.
That is correct. So I participated in one of the episodes. I am also here in New York City, as you can see. I fight for the Sentinels normally within the Armored Combat League, and I got the opportunity to fight on the show.
How'd you get the call?
There was an interesting process of, hey, there's this show going on, and some people that had some insider information said, apply here, go online, fill out, a form or two, and, apply. And then once I did, it was, all right, now there's going to be a series of interviews, like phone interviews. They called us, they asked us questions. One of them had to be like, video, so it was like over Skype or whatever. And so did a couple of those, and if you made it through each one and they liked you, and I guess, I don't know, I can't say it about everyone looking good, but clearly they picked me. But they, so we went through a couple of those, and they eventually let you know, and they said, hey, here's your date, and this is when we'll film.
What's the format of the show?
Okay, so from the first episode that everyone could now see, the first is what they call the Grand Melee, which is 6 fighters. The 6 fighters that are on each episode are going to basically be put in a giant, somewhat octagonal, but there's a few more sides. Some are shorter than others, but it's basically, imagine a giant octagon, with like a dust, like grounded QP flooring. So it's really, it's kicking up a lot of dust in there. The 6 of them are just free-for-all. Every man for himself. Every man has 5 enemies, but every one of your enemies also has 5 enemies. And it's judged by 3 judges, and those 3 judges will pick 3 people to move on to the next round out of the 6. Then it goes into those 3 that didn't get picked, fight one-on-one again in a free-for-all, the 3 against each other. And the best one that does the best in that heat, in that fight, the judges will decide who goes on to the next. So then there's 4 people in the next round. And what happens is they split them up 2 and 2, and they make them into teams. Then those teams basically have to go through a series of, trying out different armor and weapons within a certain period. So the first episode was Vikings and Byzantines, right? So they had to wear different armor that they were normally used to wearing. So they had, chainmail and a lot more like heavy padding because there's less steel on their body, and they had to use weapons that a lot of the guys might not have been familiar with, right? Bigger, rounder shields, something that we don't usually see in our sport, which is kind of cool. And then the 2 teams fight against each other in 2 heats, and the judges judge which team did better. Then, when that team that was chosen did better, there's only 2 people left. So now, they go head-to-head, one-on-one in a duel. And the duel is pretty much scored the same way as all the rest. It's aggression, their defense, their offense, their strikes, if they were able to dominate their opponent physically, if they were able to throw them down, all these things get factored in, right? Also, things like, weapon strikes and techniques of weapons as well. All this gets factored in. The judges have to judge, and they will pick who the winner is. And then you have your one winner, and that person wins, a money grand prize and has the opportunity to come back at the end of the season, folks. I already talked about this, but the end of the season is all those winners from each one of those episodes gets back together, and it's all the members that were already have won an episode fight against each other. Now, the format for that one, I don't know if I can tell you about it, so you're going to have to stay tuned and watch.
What was your favorite weapon to use there?
It was kind of interesting because they had me use something that I don't normally use. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's definitely not my favorite. I can see why I don't choose it again. So I'd have to say my actual weapons that I brought to the show. Like, if you've ever seen me fight, I fight with a buckler that I strap to my gauntlet and a mace. And I don't know, I like it.
How do you think you did?
I did pretty well. Not to really give any spoilers, because I really can't. Not allowed to talk about that stuff.
Would you say you were satisfied with your performance?
I say I had a lot of fun. It was enjoyable. There was a lot of good fighting on my episode. I know that for a fact. So, I enjoyed it.
What makes a good fight?
What makes a good fight is 2 guys that, or more, when you're going at it, it's not completely one-sided. It's not, this one destroyed this one. It's both using some technique and brute force, and there's a lot of heart in it. There's a lot of just not one person just swinging the whole time or one person just throwing them. There's such combination, and it's hard to adapt when your opponent adapts to you. and then you have to readapt, and it's a back and forth battle, right? That's what makes a great fight. There was a lot of that. It was a lot of hard-hitting, good fighting.
If they invite you back for the next season, if they allow that to happen, would you do it?
Absolutely. I would go back and I'd try to win the whole thing. Maybe I already did. I don't know. Stay tuned.
Okay. Now, being as you're part of the New York team, you know that several New Yorkers. Who are the New Yorkers who got on the show?
There's at least the three others that I know about. Actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names. I don't know if I'm allowed to, so I'm not going to. Hey, if you watch the episodes, they're going to introduce themselves. You're going to learn their names. They're going to tell you where they're from. And so there's at least 4 of us from New York.
And how well do you think they represented our city?
In terms of representing and being who they are and being fighters, I think they did a tremendous job. There's no question about that. We haven't gotten anything back from anyone that would have said that anyone did poorly to the point where, they needed to be either reprimanded or removed or anything like that. So I'm confident with the people that I know who they are, that they represented themselves and New York very well.
And why is it important for this sport to be in this city?
Well, this is the Big Apple. This is the melting pot. This is any kind of the city that never sleeps. Any kind of term that you want for New York City. Like, I don't even live here, but like this is like my second family here. It's a great place. We're growing in number. We're getting new people. And hey, if you're a new person, you want to get in on this, we have the league, the Armored Combat League, and we do this for real all the time. You too.
All right. Thank you very much. Any last thing you want to say?
No, I think that's it. And honestly,
how about just a watch night fight kind of a thing? Plug the show.
So, you heard it here. This is going to be one awesome show. There's some great fighting. Go and watch Night Fight. Wednesdays, 10 p.m. on the History Channel. Heck, go into your local bar and tell them to turn it on. They'll be confused at first, and then you'd be surprised how many bars across the country we had do this, and the entire places were packed. They were loving it. Go and do it. Wednesdays, 10 p.m. History Channel.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Captain Zorek. We're coming at you.